What's up, podcast family? I'm Joe Lemon. Thank you so much for tuning into the Real Value Exchange. And so this is going to be a fun episode. I got Dr. Connor Robertson with me. He's a chiropractor flipped into the B2B sales consulting role. And man, I think he's going to have a lot of jewels for us to kind of take away. He's also launching his own podcast. It's already out. It's called The Prospecting Show. And if anything, you guys should be able to grab his energy and let that energy translate into action for yourself, because he has a ton of it. Before we get into that conversation today, please go out, tell a friend about the podcast, because word of mouth, hands down, is still the best way to market. And I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. I want to get those off my chest in advance. I'll do one more episode before I close out the year, just kind of give you some of the biggest opportunities that are coming up. But, you know, if you really value this conversation, if you got some jewels, I know you guys can get some from it, reach out and check out Dr. Connor's platforms. I'm using some of his tools, seeing good results, seeing phenomenal results, honestly, without that much work, and the cost is really affordable. So it's a quick plug for him. Check that out. Stuff will be in the show notes. And if you're in the healthcare industry, especially if you own a private practice, I'm sure you've been noticing how the reimbursement rates are going down. I'm sure you guys have seen how the government's looking at cutting another 8% off of your margins. So if you guys take on any Medicare patients, maybe it's time to think about blowing up, or at least scaling out, or at least launching some cash-based services within your practice. I think this is going to be one of the biggest opportunities for 2020. Think about looking into, if you're going to have some cash-based services, trying to create, just really trying to implement some proven B2B startup sales, scrappy strategies that don't take a lot of money to get off the ground, but they're effective. Go to sportsmedicinemedia.com. That's sportsmedicinemedia.com. All right, let's get into it. When we first linked up, so let me try to set the whole theme for the actual podcast for the audience, right? We got Linkley, went out to Pittsburgh for like a couple business meetings. You were free. You happened to be free. You actually made yourself free. How you rock and roll now. Met me down at the hotel, had a couple beers really quick, and then I could quickly tell, it was like within the first 15 minutes, I'm like, all right, this guy's going to be a rock star in our space. So the coolest part about it is that you were in healthcare first. Now you're transitioning into this B2B,
trying to move over,
marketing, sales, dominant role, which is rare, that I definitely want to talk about. That's going to be a big part of this conversation, because healthcare is not known for producing quality B2B sales guys. Let's just say that, right?
Definitely.
But now you're podcasting as well, and you've been trying to do like 100 episodes within like what? Less
100 days. 100 days. 100 episodes in 100 days. And that goal came from, let's spin the story for the people listening as well. So you did that sales culture interview with Linda. And she goes, I love the podcast. Didn't turn out well. You guys are going to redo it, whatever. But she said, oh, this is pretty cool. And she asked me, she said, hey, can you help me do this? And I said, well, if I'm going to help you do it, I better know what I'm doing first. Mm-hmm. So I just jumped out there, called you, said, hey, how do I do this thing? What do I need? You go, get the Anchor app, get a microphone, get some headphones, get a computer that, you can record on Zoom, whatever it is, and just rock it. So the next day I get all the stuff, Amazon Prime, ship it all in here, hook it all up, and then bam, 8 episodes in a row, just hammering them out. And now here we are talking again. So 100 days, we're definitely doing it.
Shit, Connor. I'm loving it, man. So Dr. Connor Robertson, welcome to the podcast, my man.
Thank you so much.
I mean, man, you know what, man? So I love the fact that you don't really hesitate. That's something that I learned really quick about you, is that you don't need a lot of, details and facts. I'm like, look, this stuff is simple. Podcasting is simple. It's just people talking. It's back to the basics, right? That's one of the beauties of kind of using this actual tool. But before we dive into that weeds, because I know we both got a lot to kind of jam on that, give people a little bit of your background, origin story. How did you get into healthcare in the first place?
So to jump back to 2008, I was playing super competitive hockey up in Canada, which is where I grew up. I got hit from behind, head first into the boards, broke my spine. Wow. All right. And everyone goes, wow, that's crazy, right? So 6 to 8 months of rehab there. First orthopedic guy I see, he says, no matter what happens, never see a chiropractor. I said, all right. So then what I did is I said, well, if he says don't do this, just my nature, we're definitely doing it, right? I get out 6 to 8 weeks to start of kind of just doing nothing, sitting at home, taking Percocets, just, glued to the chair. Horrible experience, would never recommend it for anyone else. Go back to the ortho guy. He's like, oh yeah, we could probably probably start getting you into some rehab, PT, whatever. He's like, but don't go to the chiropractor. So I said, we're going to the chiropractor. So I go there, first adjustment I ever had. Twice. One on the first meeting. Then when I come back for the follow-up, he says, definitely don't do this. So I had to do it. So I go to see the chiropractor, gives me a couple light adjustments. This is right after I broke my back. So this was, probably 3 months later, just started to heal up, light adjustments, instrument adjusting. So something really gentle for anyone of any age. And I was like, this is what I want to do. So after that, fast forward, chiropractic school, come from Canada to the US, go to New York, go to chiropractic school, practice for 2 years, and then go, wait a second. I love sales. The healthcare market definitely needs people who are in the B2B prospecting space.
Yeah.
And with sales culture alone, I go to all these trade shows or see these different vendors, and I'm like, great product, horrible marketing. How can I match those two together? So what I did is I just showed up, talked to a few different people, and started working on our prospecting system. And interestingly enough, the prospecting tool that we created, which helps generate B2B leads, is the reason Keith and I met.
Oh, so all right, cool. So now I'm getting some history, and I'm getting some actual, backstory on like Keith here a little bit too. So
yeah,
you started this prospecting tool, and then you and Keith linked up.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly. So I was still in practice at this time. So I was practicing, seeing 50, 60, 70 visits a day, working 10, 12 hours a day, even on the weekends. And I'm like, I got to do something in the evenings to try and grow my network, grow the people I'm working with, and get some new connections. So I start building out this tool, some email, some text message, direct message, LinkedIn, everything I got. And I connect with Keith, and I'm trying to sell him another product that I'm side hustling too. Okay. And he goes,
what was the other product?
It was like a chiropractic vibration type device, soft tissue device, capital equipment, about $5,000. Guy I was working with was making it. And so I basically, went in there and tried to sell it to him. And he said, I don't like the product, but I like you. Yeah. I have a client in Atlanta next week. I'm going to be down there teaching. Fly down and meet me. So I jump on a plane. I work 8 o'clock on Friday night, jump on the plane at night, fly over, land, meet him and his client. All right.
Yeah.
And then we're like, we got to do something together. So we figure out all this immigration stuff because I had to change all my papers and all, because I wasn't going to be a physician anymore. I was going to be a consultant. It's a different category. So I fly down, meet him. We do the deal. I come back up and he says, we got to work together. We got to come up with a partnership. We got to come with some way to work together. And we said, boom, done. Within 30 days, we started working together.
Love it, man. I love it. And you know what? Full transparency out to the actual audience as well. I love the actual product myself. That's why you got linked up and we started really working together. I was like, man, this is going to be great for the team. Me being a sales guy, knowing that one of the biggest problems, if you're good at sales, right? Let's assume that person already has decent sales. Right. And so if you got that part down, one of the hardest parts is trying to fill your actual pipeline. You cannot get in front of enough people if you are a real closer. And so the top of the funnel issues, and I was like, oh, you can automate this process for us in a way that's not like some just, some like robotic looking feel, where you just got like, you're just blasting out 10,000 people and everybody knows it and you get knocked out.
Yeah.
I've been there. This is such a smoother process. So sorry. Cool. Right. So you kind of laid this out. You and Keith are pretty straightforward with each other because you guys are both sharpshooters. I get that. And healthcare is desperately in need of something like this.
Right.
I mean, I would say the B2B SaaS guys, those guys do a pretty decent job. All the guys out of the Valley and everything else, they kind of laid it out to have a pretty good sales structure. But healthcare, this is foreign. This is like foreign virgin territory for lots of these businesses. So what type of gaps are you seeing within the healthcare sales and marketing?
Yeah, this is a good question. I actually was just starting to record a little segment on this the other day. So here's the big gap, all right? Yeah. They have a budget. So you got a product, you have a service, whatever it is, and you have a budget. And you say, this budget's for marketing. And then the first thing everybody does is they go, let's do trade shows. So they take their whole team, they take 3 or 4 guys, they spend $6,000 to go to the trade show, plus hotels, plus food, plus flights for like 3, 4, 5, 6 guys, whatever it is to come to the booth, right? And that's without any other marketing. So they go, let's spend 5 to 10K a pop. We're going to spend 60 G's a year to go do marketing. And then they have no strategy before the event, no strategy during the event, no strategy after the event. And then at the end of the year, when they do their Q4 report or end of year report, and they go, I'm not even sure if this worked. And so they start right back at the beginning again, and they don't know anything else. So the next year, going into 2020, for example, they do the same thing because that's all they know. And they don't know there's a different way. So what we did is we basically set out there and said, this is what people are doing. Trade show, tons of money on Facebook. And here's the problem with Facebook. It's a consumer audience. You are not going to sell a 10, 15, 20, 30, 50, $100,000 product on Facebook. It's not going to happen. It's the wrong audience. If you're selling a trinket, a roll of tape, something small that the consumer can buy, maybe. The price of Facebook's going through the roof right now, and the cost of advertising is ridiculous. So for us, we developed a platform that says, I don't care how many sales guys you have. You could have one guy or you could have 100 guys. We have a solution for you that's by sales rep per month. So instead of having to sit there and say, how much do we spend on Facebook? All you do is you come to us and you say, I want to put this product in front of these people at this time with this sales rep. Done. Problem solved, right? Now it's up to you to be a killer out there and make sure that you get the job done with selling stuff, right? We cannot make people better salespeople, but what we can do is shorten that gap between trade shows and cold calls, because no one likes doing either of them, right? They just suck. So this is an opportunity for people to do both of those. And at the end of the day, individuals like yourself who have a really good personality around the sales process are going to be very successful. And that's just the way it is.
Man, you know what, man? It was one of those things that I clearly got it. As soon as you talked about it for less than 5 minutes, I was like, oh, boom, done.
Yeah.
I mean, and trade shows, you know what's so funny? So, and I'll be honest about this. I've done trade shows very haphazard, just kind of come into them. Okay, I'll book the show, do them. I got to tell you, one thing that I've really flipped now. I'm like, okay, you know what? I don't like going. Let's just be clear about it. I don't like leaving on the weekends because no on the weekend. Yeah. I don't like leaving my wife so I can leave SoCal sunny. And there's smog and a whole bunch of homeless people, but still, it's cool. I don't want to leave it, So I got to hop on the bird, go to some place like Wyoming that I don't really want to go. In the middle of the winter. But I'm like, damn it, if I'm going to go, I might as well just dominate this show. Yeah. And so one of the things that I've been trying to implement is being an actual podcast host at the shows. So it just elevates my presence and I can add value back up front. But I know that you have some skill sets when it comes to helping salespeople really understand how they can really rock out a show. Do you mind diving into them? Yeah.
So there's some really simple ones, actually. Yeah. First of all, the number one thing I'd always say at the trade show is think about who the audience is and pre-sell. If you're going to a trade show and have no idea who you're talking to, when you're talking to, or what you're talking about, you're up shit's creek without a paddle going backwards, right? So here's what you got to do. Step number one, make sure you know who's going to be there. Get the list of the vendors, get the list of the other, members that are going to be there, whatever it is, figure out who's there and do some homework. Number two, connect with those people on LinkedIn ahead of time. Go out there, tell them, hey, I'm going to be at this show. Let's link up. It's not that hard. Hammer out 100 messages yourself if you want. I don't care. Yeah. Do it before the show so that you're prepared and maximized. Two, when you're there, talk to people. Don't just sit there on your phone like I see with everybody else and hammer down. You're spending money to be there. Talk to the people who want to buy the stuff you have. Mm-hmm. That's so simple to do, right? Step three, when you're there, collect the leads. What we do is two different ways to collect leads. Way one, geofence. What we do is we bomb the crap out of phones with advertising on Facebook. Even though Facebook's a consumer platform, we put it only on cell phones. Every single person in the room gets our Boots ad for the next 3 days. Go 150,000 impressions. It'll cost you probably $250 to $300. You already spent the money for the trade show. Just spend the extra to get it there. Put it on everybody's phone. Step number two, when you capture their leads, don't scan their badges, which is what everybody does. You spend $250 to get a badge scanner and scan it, and nobody really cares. They just go, oh yeah, scan my badge. Okay, yeah, relax, right? So instead of that, we create a form, first name, last name, cell phone, email, a form on your phone. You get people to fill it out. It does two things. First, it eliminates the people who are just tire kickers. And two, you can have multiple touch points. You can text them. We text them right away. Hey, Jim, Joe, whoever it is, thanks for coming by the booth. I wanted to give you this piece of value up front. Here's our product. Here's what it solves. And here's how it can help you. We text them as they're leaving away from the booth. Automated. We do that. Then we follow them up with emails and text messages. So those are quality leads. And then at the end of the show, you have a list of 150 people who actually want to talk instead of these badges that you just randomly scan throughout the show. Give me your badge. It's like, it's crazy. That's what we do.
I mean, man, you know what? Having that actual conversation does help qualify. 100%. I think that's the part that people kind of miss. Okay, scan the badge is almost like, swipe my debit card. Yeah. You will get a couple hits, but the guys that walk over some cash, they're in, right? And so if someone stops and actually says, hey, I'm going to fill out this form, and while they're filling it out, why not ask about their life and understand who they are a little bit? so you have some context once you do hit them up. I mean, man, that's how you separate it, right?
That's exactly it. And you have to know where to start on the list. I don't care how big or small of an organization is. There's no way you can prioritize everybody. There has to be some focus. So if you have a list of 400 people that you just badge scanned randomly, just running around with your scanner at the booth scanning people, you have no idea who to call, right? It's like Pokemon. You got to catch them all. You're just slamming this thing around all day trying to get it done. You got to be focused, right? If you want something, you got to be focused on it. So that's why we build out those forms and then have a real conversation. Do a podcast with them, do an interview, find out what they actually want. Maybe they don't want what you have. So why would you waste your time selling them that particular product if it doesn't fit their needs? But that's what they do.
I mean, Doc, man, you know what's cool about you too, though, man, is that you understand what these guys are trying to accomplish. Like the people that, because you were on the other side of the table, you were the guy getting pitched, right?
Yep.
One of the misconceptions I would say in our space, because it's like health, oh, it's so woo-woo, nobody wants to make any money, we just want to get everybody healthy. And it's true. I mean, nobody would do this if they weren't in it for helping out the inpatient, or if they didn't believe that what they were doing wouldn't have any positive results in their life. But what do you see people doing in the healthcare space, especially around the sales and marketing end, where they're like, man, they're coming to you and they're not doing blank? I mean, obviously trade shows are dropping the ball from not doing the pre-sales and follow up, but whenever they get in front of the person, like what's just trying to think of some areas, the ways that we can make this whole industry better, really. Yeah.
So I think the actual concept of a strategy is like, it sounds simple, but people don't do it. So here's what I hear when I do either sales calls or consulting calls or whatever it is. People go, I ask them, I say, what are you doing for marketing right now? And they go, two things. I don't know. Or I do X just because. So Facebook, I do Facebook. Okay, well, what do you do on Facebook? Oh, I don't know. Yeah. Well, so now you're telling me you're spending $4,000 to $6,000 a month